Hello and welcome to this episode of the podcast Hepatitis B Positive from Diagnosis to Strength. I would like to remind you that we're discussing about one of the most misunderstood and under-amplified disease condition in this world. So for this series of episodes, we're really going to talk about hepatitis B. And thank you so much for all that have watched the YouTube channels and for all the comments you have sent. I sincerely appreciate your time, and I thank all that the guests that were lining up. I've received a lot of feedback from people that are interested to share their stories. We're going to share the stories of resilience, the stories of diagnosis in the next episode. So please don't forget to stay subscribed to the YouTube channel and all the social media handles you've just seen displayed. So today we're discussing what is hepatitis B, the myths versus the facts. This episode aims to educate you about hepatitis B by debunking common myths, misconceptions, and presenting the facts. There are a lot of misconceptions that fuel stigma, that fuels fear and misinformation, making it harder for people to seek testing, to seek for treatment and support. So by the end of today's episode, I would like you to have a clearer understanding of hepatitis B and feel empowered with the right knowledge. So I would like to ask, did you know that all over the world, over 254 million people worldwide have hepatitis B, yet most don't know about it? And worse still, there are many myths that keep people from getting the care they need. So today, we're separating the facts from fiction and breaking down the truth about hepatitis B. So as I said, what is hepatitis B? We want to look at the truth. I want to look at the lies. I see a lot of sometimes newspaper comments, or you go on social media, and you see a lot of stories, you read a lot of stories about hepatitis B. A majority of the information out there are misinformation. So myths and misconceptions are very, very dangerous. There is a gentleman I spoke to earlier and who was talking about the misinformation he had about hepatitis B, and that made him not to seek for treatment. Probably you also are affected by that because of the fear, because of the wrong information. Makes you not to seek for treatment, makes you not to seek for care. And it fuels the stigma, the feeling of shame, the feeling that probably you're having currently, that is making you not to look for care and then to look for support. So what are your thoughts? What do you understand what hepatitis means? From me, my perspective, when I got infected with hepatitis B, it was a life-changing moment. And yet I worked in the hospital, but I knew very little about hepatitis B. And the information I was seeing on Google and other medias were more of fear, more of heightening the tension, the heightening, the anxiety in me about hepatitis B. So in fact, that made me for a long period of time to withdraw into myself, and then I literally almost was broken down. So, but what about you? What was your experience, or what do you know? And what is that information you have about hepatitis B? So, but by the end of this episode, you will know what hepatitis B really is. You will know how it spreads and how to protect yourself and others. So now, what is hepatitis B? Hepatitis B is a viral infection that affects the liver. Remember the last episode I said, and I'm repeating today, that the liver is the largest organ in the body. So hepatitis B is a virus. So it's not just a letter B. Just like we have germs, we have bacteria, we have fungi, we have diseases, viruses, bacteria. So hepatitis B is a virus. It's a viral infection that affects the liver. And it can lead to serious complications if not managed. But the good news is that it is preventable and treatable and curable for hepatitis C. Now, how does it spread? This is where, again, there's a lot of misinformation about how hepatitis B spreads. And this misinformation and myths are things that fuel the stigmatization of people who live with hepatitis B. How does it really spread? What do you think? Can you share with me your thoughts, your knowledge about how hepatitis B spreads? But let me just tell you how it spreads. Number one, hepatitis B is a viral infection and it is spread through major bodily fluids like blood, unprotected sex, from mother to baby at birth, sharing needles, unsafe medical practices. I know you're probably thinking about other body fluid like sweat, like handshake. Well, good enough. Hepatitis B is not transmitted through casual contact like sweat. No, it's not spread by handshake or sleeping on the same bed with someone that's hepatitis if there's no blood anyway. So these are some of the misconceptions people have, right? And that makes a lot of people to run away from people with hepatitis. Now, having understood this, who do you think is at risk? Not just one group. Everybody is at risk. Anyone can be exposed because the virus is so small, smaller than HIV, and it is actually 50 to 100 times more infectious than HIV, meaning that it spreads much more faster and it's easier to contract hepatitis actually because this is 50 to 100 times more infectious than HIV. So everyone is at risk. Everyone. Now, why does this matter? Why should it matter to you? It should matter to you because it is a silent disease. And many people don't have symptoms. When I got infected for several years, and even up to now, I did not develop any symptoms. But it can still spread. You might not have symptoms, but you can transmit the virus to someone else. And it can still be spread to someone else. So it's good to understand that. But I would like to know your thoughts. I would like to know what are those misconceptions you had or those misinformation you had. So let's now go to the myths and let's go to the misconceptions and misinformation. Myth number one. When you say myth, we're referring to the wrong information people talk about, right? So let's break down these misconceptions that people say. Number one, what hepatitis B is rare and only affects certain people. That is a misconception. It's not true. Hepatitis B affects over 254 million people worldwide across all regions and backgrounds. Are you surprised? Oh yes. 254 million people. That is based on the report from the World Health Organization that was released last year, 2024. Number two, what is another myth? If you don't feel sick, you don't have hepatitis B. That is not true. Many people with hepatitis B have no symptoms for years. But one, it can still spread. You can still spread the virus. And you can still develop complications like liver cirrhosis or liver cancer. So feeling sick is not a must. So you don't feel sick, you don't feel symptoms. It's not the fact that you may not have hepatitis B. It's possible you might have it. Myths and misconception number three. Hepatitis B is a death sentence. Well, for this, the answer are two ways. It's both yes and no. Yes, if you're diagnosed late, it could lead to early death. If you're diagnosed late, remember I said there are no symptoms. So if already you are developing complications of the liver, like cirrhosis and other complications, and you're diagnosed very late, yes, it could be a death sentence. However, it's not a death sentence if you are diagnosed early. So it is manageable with proper medical care. I'm not going into the details of the treatment and the management today because I have two experts that are going to talk about hepatitis B treatment on the next episode. So keep watch and you'll get the best in terms of management and care, because that is another area of misconception, right? So there are effective treatments, and in some cases, the immune system sometimes can naturally clear the virus. For hepatitis C, there's complete cure. And another misconception, you see a lot of information out there in social media, hepatitis B is curable. Yes, there is research for functional cure, but there are some people that their immune system will naturally clear the virus. Now, Misconception number 4. There are lots. There are so many misconceptions. I might not be able to say all. Probably there are some you know even better than I do. So I may not have all the information, but I'm just sharing the one that is most commonly spread. Number 4. Hepatitis B can be spread through casual contact, like hugging, sharing food, handshake. That is another misconception, right? So the facts. This is a myth. What is a fact? Hepatitis B is transmitted through blood and bodily fluids, not through casual contact, not through handshake, not through lying on the same bed. No, through bodily fluid. Like, what are those bodily fluids? Sweat is not one of them. Now, you mentioned saliva. Very little. There is, WHO document mention it, but there's not so much scientific evidence on that. But it is part of the bodily fluids. Except, now, what of breast milk? No, it doesn't transmit. It's not transmissible through breast milk, but it's transmissible during delivery. A mother can infect her baby during delivery. Misconception number 5. There is no way to protect yourself from hepatitis B. Wrong. It's not true. It's not like a bullet that is flying that can just catch people anyhow. No. There is a highly effective vaccine that has been available for decades. And that is one irony about hepatitis B. It causes liver cancer. It causes cirrhosis. But there's a safe vaccine. That vaccine, the WHO recommends that babies are given that vaccine. And even people at risk can get that vaccine. There is also through safe sex. Avoid sharing needle. And then all pregnant women should be screened during pregnancy. That will help. So that if a pregnant woman is diagnosed with it, it helps her to get a prophylaxis treatment to prevent mother-to-child transmission. And so again, the World Health Organization has recommended that all babies are supposed to be given the birth dose vaccine within 24 hours of delivery. So birth dose vaccine protects babies. What is the other myth and misconception? Hepatitis B and hepatitis C are the same thing. Well, some people think now we have 5 different types of hepatitis, right? We have hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E. So these are not just letters. And A doesn't progress to B, neither does B transmit to C. They are different viruses, different families. So the fact is that they are different viruses with different modes of transmission and treatments. Yes, completely different. B and C are not the same. They are different viruses, their modes of transmission, there are similarities, but they're different. And in fact, even their treatments are also different. Another misconception. If someone has hepatitis B, they must have done something wrong. So this is where people are ashamed. People think you have hepatitis, so you must have done something awfully bad. What are the facts? Hepatitis B is a virus. It's not a moral failing. It's not about moral failure, right? Children sometimes get infected from the mother. So who do you blame? You're not blaming the baby, right? It's not that the baby did something wrong. And healthcare workers could get infected at work. So it's not a moral failing. It's a human condition. It's not just through carelessness, no. Through medical procedures, blood transfusions, or unsafe injections. Now, as I said, I may not be able to share information about all the misconceptions and all the myths. So I will be happy to hear from you. What are some of those myths and misconceptions you hear? And then maybe also hear from you about the facts. So why do you think understanding these myths matters? Why does it really matter? Number 1, stigma reduction. The more you know the truth, the less discrimination you face about hepatitis B. The more you know that you can't get it through casual contact, the more you are able to support people living with hepatitis B, the more people are not judged, the more people live free and happy lives. And then it encourages testing and treatment. Knowledge leads to action. more people will seek testing and proper care. So it's not a death sentence if you're diagnosed early. So you seek for care, right? Rather than sitting back, rather than withdrawing and thinking that is the end of life, People just are diagnosed and they think that is the end of it. Why should they go for treatment? After all, they're going to die. No, it's not that you're going to die. Hepatitis is not it's not the infection that you get it today and see you're going to drop dead the following day. No. So it shouldn't stop treatment. So knowing it will help you to seek for care and will help you to seek for support. It also empowers, right? Educated person and individuals or communities can advocate for better healthcare. I am one individual that was empowered with my diagnosis. Rather than encouraging my diagnosis with hepatitis B to pull me down, it rather empowered me from a patient to an advocate and to a global health expert. Now, what do you need to do? You've heard the basic facts, misconceptions, the myths, the lies, the wrong stories about hepatitis B. Now, what do you need to do? One, you are empowered with knowledge. You know that it's not spread through casual contact. And you know that it affects over 254 million people. That's a large population. Almost the population of the United States of America. Now that you know the facts, please share them. Help someone around you understand hepatitis B better. If you haven't been tested, maybe you're scared, you're afraid, please go for testing. Early detection can save your life. Let's continue breaking the stigma together. And I'll be super happy if you follow the podcast, you share this podcast, and you join in the conversation. How will you join the conversation? Subscribe. How will you join the conversation? Talk to someone about hepatitis B. Tell someone about it. And let me ask you, what myths and misconceptions have you heard? Have you heard any other myths about hepatitis B? Please share them with me on my social media handle and let's discuss it. The more we discuss it, the more we understand hepatitis B and the more we're able to break down this misinformation. And you won't know, probably you sharing this may save someone somewhere who is misinformed and who probably is misguided. So hepatitis B is not a death sentence if you're diagnosed early. And I'm super grateful. Thank you so much for joining. I hope you continue to join the podcast and share this with friends and colleagues so that together we'll build a community and we need to break the stigma about hepatitis B. Thank you so much. And the next episode, we're now going to talk about the treatment. We'll now bring liver experts and we'll also share stories of friends, the community of the over 254 million people. I have so many people that have already sent me messages that they want to share their stories. Next episode, we're going to be listening to some of the stories and we'll bring some liver experts to tell us more about the treatment. You cannot afford to miss the next episode where we dive in to talk about the treatment with some liver experts. Thank you so much. Stay safe and see you next time.